Welcome to episode 7 of Kisima Podcast. I'm your host, Joy Mala. You can find us on Insta at Kisima_podcast and on Twitter at Kisima Podcast. Karibuni. Today is a very special episode because we have a guest here to talk to us about youth entrepreneurship. I know as you've seen the progression of our episodes, we've come so far from talking about responsibility, civic responsiveness, talking about the budget process and why all of this must matter to us. So at this point, we get to the meat of it, talking about, okay, how do we make money? And even if we make money, what's the best way to look at this entire philosophy of work and why it's important to begin with? So my guest today is Tim Dafina. He is the chairman of Youth in Business Africa. I'll let him introduce himself and tell you guys about what he's all about. Karibu, Tim.
Thank you so much. So privileged to be here. It's an honor. Like you've heard, my name is Tim Dafina. I am the chairman of Youth in Business Africa. We are a youth-based trade support institution. We are devolved in all business sectors. At the moment, we run our offices in Kenya, Uganda, and Ghana, and we're hoping to expand more into more territories as the years go by, as we get to understand the marketplaces. What we do is we offer funding, we offer advocacy, we offer access to market, and what is important to us as Youth in Business Africa is just to form a network of youth led businesses and for us to be self-sustainable within our networks. And so far, so good. We have seen the seriousness, we have seen the drive, the tenacity of our members, and we're hoping to grow into big and larger numbers as the years go by.
Thank you.
Yes.
So even as you get to the meat, I want to understand, were you a businessman before you decided youth in business?
Well, I think my story is a very interesting one. After school, I was a very bright student in school. I didn't know what I wanted to do because at that time, business courses were really linked to those who have, in a way, failed.
Yeah.
So having passed my exams, I was, battling with the decision to do the more prestigious courses like actuarial science. Actually, I wanted to do actuarial science without really understanding what it was all about. So I spent most of my time away from school, not knowing what I wanted to pursue. But I was really, really interested in business, and within a period of time while I was out, I decided to try my hand in it, and I have tried many, many businesses. Those that have failed, those that have gone, those that have succeeded, and that being said, that's what led me to know what challenges we face as the youth as we do business, and it's what advised me and some of my committee members to start now Youth in Business and see how we can help the youth who want to really engage in business.
Oh, that's very enlightening.
Yes.
I hope some of you are already getting inspired that you can do anything you put your heart and mind to.
Very
But
true.
then tying to that, why should we work? Mbona tufanye kazi?
Well, just a back history, as we were growing up, those who, be it in all religions, I think this is what has been said in the Bible, in the Quran, and all these other religions that are out there, that man must work, to eat you must work, which means in the Bible perspective, in the spiritual sense, that means you have to toil and get value for what you do. And I believe that that being said, that it's important for us to understand not just work, but the purpose that we are here. And I think that's what I have come to know has become the biggest challenge, that people don't know. People don't really know what their purpose is, and that is important because like humans, we really need to ask ourselves why. Why are we here? Why are you here as Joy in this world? And I feel like once you have understood why you're here, then it's easier for you to know what your purpose is and then to put effort into that. So it's very important for us as humans to work and not just blindly working towards what we're not sure about. I think this is something that something that has been of culture here. I think even in studies, that we go to school to get skills, Then after skills, what you're taught in school is how to get the skills. After the skills, you're taught how to make money from the skills. And then once you've made the money, they teach you how to spend that money. And I feel like this is a more or less a distorted way of looking at how life is,
Yeah, it's
because
very
then that means that
flawed.
the cycle is, you get a job, and that's how comes most of our parents, are really insisting on us having prestigious jobs, and us, pursuing careers that would, bring not necessarily food to the table, but bring money to our account, because then they know how important that is in our, our society. But I feel like we have to, revisit this, and not just encourage people to look for work necessarily, but to look for something that they're really good at, something that would really give them joy. And I think this is where now passion comes in,
Yeah.
and all these things rope in. And it's very important that as we try to change the narrative, that we also talk about how important it is for us to find a purpose in our lives. And then that now can be tied in what we do, which in relation is work. So it's important to work, yes, but it's important to work towards a goal that is more linked to your passion and why you feel that the purpose of which you're here in the world. Yeah.
I like that you tie it to the meaningfulness,
Yes.
yeah, for the individual, because a lot of people work grudgingly, and people have tied 9 to 5 to think of it as a jail, a
Very
kind
true.
of jail, a
Yeah.
kind of what slavery that you wake up to every so often. And you guys, if you know me, you know that I love philosophy, and if you've talked about it, you know that I adore Khalil Gibran. So there's this book is written. It's called The Prophet. Not he's written. He's from Kitambo, guys, like the 18th century.
Yes.
So there's this book written. It's called The Prophet. It's a poetry book, but the way he writes it, the way he weaves words together. Talking about work, he says, "You work so that you may keep pace with the soul of the earth." And then there's this part where he talks about work being love made visible. So I want you to talk to us about
Yes.
working in something you love. How has it been for you? And yeah, what's your takeaway from that?
Yes. I like what you've said. I think you've really summarized it in a good way. I feel like what the purpose that you are here should be felt when you. I think one of the principles that I live by is, if I was not here, void of me being on earth, what void would have been felt, So which means me being here, then there has to be an effect in relation to why I am here. And I feel like that can only be experienced if I am doing what I like. And like you said,
Because that's
I
the only way you
believe
do your best work,
I think that's
right?
the only, yeah, because you're not pushed to it. It's something that you do. No one has to supervise you. It more or less, yes, it takes sacrifice, and it takes self control and all that. But I feel like it's not, like you said, it's not a jail. You don't feel like you have chains all over you to do this. It's not slavery in a way,
It's
but
freedom,
it's freedom.
right?
It's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like for me, being passionate about the youth has been an eye opener for me, because away from that, I like being of help. I like helping. I'm a caring person and all that. And I feel like my effect would be felt best when it comes to me showing people, because I have been through that path. I know what works. I know what doesn't. I'm still a student of life. I believe that we all should be students of life each and every day. And I'm learning more as time goes by, but the knowledge that I have is what I'm trying to give out there to the people who are starting. And it gives me so much joy to see someone who has started, and you have mentored them in a way that they avoid most of these mistakes that you went through. And the joy of even going through some of these mistakes with them and learning from them. And I believe that that is very, very important, especially for me. And I believe,
Very.
like, even you as Joy, you reached out to me, and I feel like in this information age, that whatever you're putting out there, because there's a lot of garbage that is being put out there.
There's so much. Do you
So
know
much, yeah.
YouTube has a shortage
Yes.
of quality content. They say that there's so much content. Of course, anytime you go onto YouTube,
Yes.
there's something to watch. but now for quality content, for useful things, there's a shortage.
That's very true, and I
Yeah.
believe that we should be the spearheaders of change, and what you're doing is impeccable. It's impressive, and
Thank you.
you're welcome. And I believe that us holding hands in different business sectors, with what we are doing for progressive purposes, we should definitely take strides towards what we envision. Yes.
For sure. So I want to tie the next question to what you'd actually said earlier, that we grow up, we are told that focus on maybe studying medicine or
Yes.
engineering. Because even me, for the course I did, I didn't even know about it until I got to the uni. But it's because those were some of the courses we were told,
Okay.
this might be better for you because maybe at the end of it, it'll pay. So this is money.
Yes.
And money is, I think we have some kind of unhealthy relationship with money as
Yes.
a society. So that when we see, I don't know, we kind of link people with money to some kind of high standard of morality. We just think that if Tim is rich, then automatically he's a good person, he has better morals, like we should adore him. So this worshipping of money has led us to have some kind of very unhealthy relationships with money, and even in business. So let's demystify it here today at Kisima Podcast. So what is money, and what's a healthy way to relate with money?
Well, I think the layman's term of money is just an exchange of currency. You give it. How money got into the picture was, as the contemporary traditional ways of doing business was barter trade. You give me something of value, I give you something of an equal value. Yeah, and so currency got into it, and the religious books have talked about it. Though I believe that we have misunderstood what they said about money. Most people growing up felt as if money, or what was instilled in them, was that money was bad.
Oh yeah, money is the
Money
root
was
of all
evil. Yeah,
evil.
yeah. But the religious book says the love of money.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that the money itself is evil. And I believe, once we start going back to the roots of how we understand money, it's very important, because then this will change the relationship we have with money. Like you've said, there's a way that we view people who have money, and it has pushed us in a way to, especially in our culture right now, in our society, that the young guys are involving themselves in, um, how do I put it, in
Unscrupulous.
unscrupulous
Wash, wash.
deals and all that, just to make the money.
Yeah.
Uh, being that it comes with so much external pressure, and away from that, I believe that the relationship we have with money is very important, because then this advises our way on how we approach our businesses, on our integrity, and our trust, and how we relate with each other also. Because even in a society, the the biggest percentage, actually, we were reading this with some of my friends, that the biggest percentage of, especially when it comes to business, and it's true, because the reason why we start businesses is to make money. So the biggest percentages of businesses failing, and relationships going down the drain, is because of that money, misunderstandings when it comes to that. And I believe, this is what I believe, that money is very important. Money is very important. Money helps us to. Money is. Uh, I would go a step further and say money is freedom, because that's why we look for it. People look for money to, in a way, buy freedom.
How about
Yeah,
money is a tool to freedom? Like
it
it's a
is.
resource, because
Yeah,
there are people with money, but
but
slaves
don't
to money.
have, yeah, slaves to it.
Yes.
That's what I say, the love of money.
Yeah.
The money itself, how you use it, like you said, how you use it will determine whether it's an advantage or a disadvantage in your life. Because there are people who, once they have gotten so much money, will get involved in, with exposure, now get involved in drugs, and all these unscrupulous behaviors. And those who receive money, and use them to their advantage, some of them will be a blessing to others and all that. So how we view money is very important. I feel like the way, like you've said, the way it being a tool, it's the way we view it that will really help us to understand how important it is to have it. So yes, it's a tool to buy freedom. Um, there's a philosophy that says, when as we and I think it was, I forget this philosopher's name, who said something about it. He said we spend so much time looking for the money, and we neglect the time, and we neglect the health. And then once we get the money, then we use that money to to try and buy more time, and try and buy more health and all that, and that becomes a cycle.
Yeah.
And so it's important for us to understand that yes, money is important, but it surely is not the only reason why we are here, because so many people take it personally that they would kill others for it. They would they would have no integrity, no moral whatsoever, that they're leaning against to get this money, because they feel like the entirety of their life is based on having or accumulating as much as possible money as possible, as much as possible money as they can. And I feel like we need to demystify that. And in a sense, that is a way we would have an healthy relationship when it comes to our view, especially when it comes to money.
I like when you tie the integrity bit to
Yes.
it, because that's very important. Like, you are supposed to remain who you are,
Yes.
no matter how much you amass or how much you lack. But this is very fleeting, especially I think in our society, I think in most societies, and especially in capitalistic societies, because we view it as the end all be all. And so I hope our viewers are getting a lot from this, that even as we try to work and try to earn and start those businesses, money should be an enabler for you to keep soaring in whatever you're doing and all your goals and aspirations. But it shouldn't be the end of it all.
Yes.
Because for that reason, people what wanna ruka line, what wanna decide, then I don't have to put in all the work. If I can get money now, then I've achieved
Yes.
the world. And so you skip all those lessons that you might have gotten building relationships, things like that. So uh next thing, maybe I'll ask, now that we've started a business and we have money, we expect to probably succeed. Of course, that's the reason you start a business. You start a business hoping to succeed. So what happens if you fail? How have you handled failure, and how should we handle failure?
I think failure is not foreign to any of us. Anyone who's in this world has failed, be it in business, be it in a relationship. You've failed in one aspect of your life, and how you handle it is really determined by your personality and all that. But I believe, as humans, success, and I say this a lot, that success is a habit. That there's a way. Let me even just speak.
Hiyo tutaweka kwa tisho.
Let me speak a
Success is
bit.
a
Let me speak a
habit.
bit about even the brain. If you walk in right now, and when we walk in, there was sugar there. So let's say there was a cup of tea and it was hot, and you could see that it was hot. There's a way that you'll approach it. If it's drinking, you'd have to either. It's funny because there's a meme that says, how do you describe kupoesha in English? Yeah? What's the word? Yeah,
Cooling. I don't know.
never really got it. But anyway, the brain is configured to know what danger is. Like right now, you'd walk in, even in the kitchen, and see a hot pan, and you've not touched it, but your brain has said that is danger. And this has been because of, but you remember when you were a kid, before you did that, one or twice you got burned. There's a time you had a knife, it cut you and all that, but your brain has been configured to know after a while that this is danger. You'll see it, and you'll see that that a knife is danger, something hot is danger, and all that. And that is a process of habit. And I believe that even in success, it's habitual, because how the same. That's why people talk about having books on the formula of success, and the formula is really just repetitive.
Yeah.
Whatever you use on one equation can be the same formula you can use on another. If it works, it works
Tukisema tu
on that.
payari na calculate
Pi nini
circumference
ndo hiyo
ni the same
circumference,
for
that is it. It's
circles.
constant,
Yes. Yeah.
And I believe that this is actually what happens in success. And what's important, especially when it comes to failure, because that's what you're talking about, is I found out that most times when I'm encountered with failure, it's because I concentrate more on the output. Because that's how we term success as. How big of a business it is, how
Like
what's
an
your
event.
yeah,
Like
how
not the
much money are
journey
you
to
making,
it.
how big are you growing, how many employees, how many customers, and the numbers of in terms of finances, how is it growing in your company? And that is just output. And when you focus on that, especially when it comes to business, when one of that is not going correctly, then you term it as failure.
Failure.
And this can affect you because now you'd see as if you're not progressing and all that. And I believe what has worked for me is in circumstances, because you will be faced with that. You'll get to a time where you have no customers. They'll get to a time where you probably want your products to come in. If you're importing them, they have issues at the port and all that. You'll be faced with all these challenges. But most the formula that I use in that is not to focus on the output but on the input. What I've learned in life is, like I've said, you should forever be a student of life. That as you're focusing on the output, focus as much or even more on the input, because then you will see progress. If you have not raised your numbers when it comes to customers or sales and all that, but you can focus on your company in terms of how big have you grown, how
Bootstrapping, finding ways to.
yeah, just don't look at the output in terms of finances and all that when it comes to failure. Just look at yourself as a company or yourself as an individual. How big have you grown? What can you do? Like I've said, it's a habit. So what can you do, constantly do, to remunerate and counter what you feel as failure? So for me, it's mostly don't focus on the output, just focus on the input. Do you need to read more books? Do you need to get a mentor? Do you need to research more? Do you need to, and when you do this, they might not equate to sales, and they might not equate to having more customers yet at that time. But trust me, after a period of time, you'd see the changes and all that. Yeah, so that's how
because it's a way to build yourself, even
it
in
really
low
is a way to
times
build
and
yourself.
high times.
Yes, yes,
It's the constant pursuit of success.
yes.
I like also that point, because even there's this meme that goes around amongst artist groups. Anytime you meet an artist, you'd be like, "Oh my God, you're such a good like you paint so well or you sing so well," and you think that it's a talent, it's God given. Okay, yes, there's that bit to it, but for someone to get to that level of mastery, they must have done it for probably every single day of their lives.
Yes.
So yeah, Beyonce may not just be Beyonce when she's 40, but it's because she's been her ever since. So success is a
Very
habit.
true. It is.
Success is the constant work that you put in. So it means the down times, the up times, but as long as you keep the consistency, there's probably something that's gonna come out of it. So
And I feel like man is habit. What you are is
yeah.
what you've been exposing yourself to. As it is right now, if you wake up at 6, and then you decide now you'll be waking up at 4, you'd notice that changing that for the first 1 or 2 weeks, you'll have so much. The challenges that you'd face in waking up,
Yeah.
it will be so hard for you. So
But
for
after
us,
week
but after
two,
week
at
2,
like
it becomes
even on Sunday,
it
just
becomes easier. So I feel
Yeah.
like I believe that even in success, that is it. Once you pursue the formula in a sense that it's habitual in a way for you to succeed, then time will come where that success will be visible. Yes.
So whether failure or success, ziangalie in equal measure. They are all learning points.
Yes.
So guys, this has been a very enlightening conversation. I'd like Tim to give us his parting shots and also plug everywhere that you guys might find him. So this is your time. Da-da-da-da.
Well, I don't know what to say, but I would
Viewers hapo wanataka
I,
kuanza
I will
business, wanataka
I
kujua.
think it's important that in life, whatever we do, we just have purpose. Like I said, having a purpose-driven life is very, very important, because in all aspects of life, in your life, you'd find that things will work to your advantage once you know what you really, really want. And I believe that that might not take a day or two. Most times you'd find that you'll have to pull back and spend so much time understanding yourself first, understanding what your values are, um, and what you and why you're here, what why why the creator, let me say that, why the creator put you on earth. It's very important for us to understand that, and then now you can tie that in your relationships, you can tie that in business, and trust me, that is more or less the formula to success once you know who you are and why you're here and where you're going. But without that, I think we are all set for failure if we don't really put that into consideration. So let us live a purpose-driven life. Let us enjoy life as it is. Let us understand that, like my good friend Joy said here, that money is a tool to freedom. So let us not entirely put all our efforts to get it in whatever means, be it in hurting people with no morals whatsoever to get it. Let us have a bit of it. Let us have integrity, not even a bit of it. Let us have integrity in plenty,
In full
as we are in
swing.
full swing as we are doing this, and just understand that once we understand why we are here, then things really will work out for our best.
Thank you so much. I honestly have nothing to add.
Yes.
That's all about it. You can find Tim on Insta at Tim Dafina.
Yes.
And you can check out the links, Youth in Business Africa. I'll also tie them down on the description below.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. This has been Kisima _ podcast on Insta and Kisima Podcast on Twitter. Thank you so much.